Hello, my loves, my little cutie patooties. How are you doing? Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to check in, see how you're doing. I know that right now it feels like the world is kind of burning down around us. And if you're like me, somebody who left a cult recently, I say recently, like 5 years ago, watching what's happening might be a bit traumatic or triggering. And I want you to know that you are safe here with me. I completely understand. There may even be moments where you're telling yourself like, ugh, I'm just making this more than what it really is. I'm so used to being programmed about Armageddon around the corner. That is not what's happening here. Nothing bad is going to happen to us. We have our rights. You've probably been consuming a lot of news, not sure what to believe because everybody has a side, everybody has an agenda. But I have to tell you this, I've been reading a lot of news. I've been poking my little peepers and my little nose, reading as much as I can. And indeed, what we are watching is a very slow but progressive fascist takeover of this country. Hi, hello, yes. Hi everyone, Future Ryan here, and I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to read through a short list of some changes that have been made that I have noticed since Trump and his cronies have taken over office. Religious Liberty Commission, the Faith Office, Anti-Christian Bias Task Force, Project ESTHER, Christian Zionist lobbies. All of those changes have been implemented to give Christians more privilege. They already have protections in the law. They don't need extra privileges. Okay, here's some legislation. The Take It Down Act, anti-doxing laws for ICE, which really means we don't want you to take pictures and find out who these Proud Boys are that are now working for the government. Title 10 deployment in LA, mifepristone lawsuit, conversion therapy protections. Something that was banned is now being backed up by RFK. And speaking of RFK taking COVID off the schedule, obscenity bills, Bible in school mandates. The whole Project 2025 platform is being rolled out. This is not paranoia. We are not insane. He promised that this would happen when he was in office before. So the pattern is there. He is following the pattern. We've seen this repeated throughout history. So if we were able to recognize at some point that we were in a cult, then here is the evidence for you to go research, do it yourself. I might make some videos on some of these issues anyhow, if you're interested in watching that, but figure it out for yourself. There's some evidence. After hearing all the things that the far-right conservatives, the Christian nationalists are trying to do to our government to erode our rights while building a foundation, building the scaffolding, when builders, they have the scaffolding to stand on. All this scaffolding will be to build Trump's evil authoritarian empire. There will be no one who can question his authority. Project 2025 is laying the groundwork. Okay, back to your regularly scheduled program. You can even track it online. It's called Project 2025. I probably said this sometime on my channel about Project 2025, and it's really this think tank. These think tanks, they've come together, put their two little brain cells together, and they're rubbing them as fast as they can to generate some thoughts. And what they're doing is undermining our rights, our freedoms, by writing laws, proposing bills, imposing this authoritarian rule, using the Bible, like wielding the Bible as this huge weapon just to cut through the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the amendments that protect us. So this progression may be slow, but I think we're reaching a point where it's tipping over. We can no longer ignore what is happening. LA is just a microcosm of the macro. In LA, ICE has full reign. They can pick anybody up off the street that they see fit. And removing habeas corpus simply means that regardless of who you are, citizen or not, you don't get due process. And those who are decrying, well, come here legally, ha ha ha. I recently posted the video of the Australian woman getting shot by one of the park cops. I think a federal officer of some sort turned to the Australian reporter and shot her with a rubber bullet. And people in my comments are saying, go home. The Constitution doesn't apply to you. Ha ha ha. You get what you pay for. play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And I don't know if they have a thinking thought, like any kind of critical thinking concept in there, to realize that that cop is now judge, jury, executioner. That should not sit well with anyone, because that means they have unquestionable authority. If they think that you're a criminal, and they can just kill you. Dunzo, regardless if you've done anything wrong. So he has no idea, that officer, that cop, had no idea who that woman was, where she was from, whether or not that Constitution applies to her. Shooting people at will with impunity, it sets a very dangerous precedent in this country. When we give law enforcement officers, ICE, free range on the population and the judgment of whether or not they deserve constitutional rights, it undermines everything that this country stands for. We all deserve the right to have that due process, regardless if we are citizens here, whether we are tourists here, if we're going to school here, doing business here. Elsewise, nobody else would ever want to come to this country. I would not travel to a country that didn't afford me some kind of right, some kind of protection. Does that make sense to you? That if this country is deemed unsafe, if people know that they can come here and have everything taken away from them, be picked up off the streets as just let's say they're a tourist, picked up off the streets because, well, in your eyes, they're not a citizen. For some reason, I guess their money isn't good here. Y'all don't seem to like money. You claim that you like money, but for some reason you don't really like money because you're scaring the money off. Their hard-earned money won't be spent here. They will not feel comfortable spending their money here, spending time here. And rightfully so. This is making a mockery of what y'all say the Constitution stands for. There is no man, no woman, nobody, no president who should have more power. Officers made a vow to protect our constitutional rights. Is that not true? How do they know to whom those rights apply to whom those laws apply to, if not for due process? There is a system in place. Does the system need to be better, work faster? Absolutely. But continuing to pour money into new police car, into more police toys, guns, militarized National Guard, does not help our society. We're continuing to pour into a bucket that has holes in it and will never be filled up because their desire for control can never be quenched. Our system here needs an overhaul. It needs upgrades. It needs systems in place to process people faster, to make sure justice is served. And there is no way that people will ever feel comfortable going through that process, through that system, when they know when they go to the courthouse, there's going to be hundreds of ICE agents waiting to take them to some foreign country. Okay? No student from China will want to come here knowing that they could be taken away, picked up off the street by somebody in a mask, so you don't even know who they are. You have no idea who they work for. Could just be a kidnapper, could be ICE, who knows? Badgeless, nameless people that sound safe to you, sending someone off to some foreign prison. No way, no how. This is how we begin to fall behind as a country. Immigrants are what keep this country vibrant and ahead of the pack. They enhance our culture. They are our scientists, our doctors, our lawyers, our friends, and our family. Like, some of the best and brightest come from other countries, and we're not going to be the leader in anything but military size in the near future if we're not careful. That is what is happening and will continue to happen until we start to realize that these are our allies. We are all just wanting better lives. We want good pay. Kenneth Square, it's the mushroom capital, I think, of like this country or maybe even the world. Do you know who does that dirty job of digging in the dirt to get the mushrooms? Immigrants, migrant workers. If it were not for them, kiss your mushrooms goodbye, because I guarantee there's not going to be many Americans who want to do that job. Who's going to go out in those fields? Do you want to do it? I don't think that you do. You know how mushrooms are grown, right? In poop, in manure. So they have to dig in the poopies to get the mushrooms so we can have delicious pizza pie. And no, sorry, but there are no Americans who want to do that stinky, shitty, but nobody wants to do that job, okay? But you know who does? Do you know who does want to dig in shit for a living? People who are desperate for a better life, okay? They are clawing. They are risking their lives to come someplace that claims to have a bright and better dream that you can build, the American dream. And here they are, paying their taxes, doing the work, going to their meetings so that they can be vetted, which takes months, sometimes even years. Who knows how long? Again, the system is so bogged down, but no, we're going to put the money into militarizing the police, the National Guard, ICE, instead of investing it into a system that can get them here sooner, that can vet them sooner, that can get them their citizenship, since that's what you desperately need them to have in order to see them as human. Okay? They're leaving someplace horrible, coming here with hope and a dream, and now they could get sent off somewhere and die, be separated from their family, some strange foreign country where they have even less rights, could never see the light of day again. You think that's normal. You think that is natural to do to people. It's sick. It's sadistic. Boy, I really went on a tangent there. Yes, does the system need upgraded? I admit, it certainly does. But it will never be upgraded if all the money is invested into giving police bigger weapons, okay? Cruelty is the point. It is an intentional system, an intentional agenda. This is the Christian nationalist agenda being rolled out the red carpet by Project 2025 and its supporters, places like the Heritage Foundation. These right-wing organizations are step by step undermining our rights, creeping into every government agency, slowly giving them more privileges, more advantages by, again, making more laws that we don't need. Everybody already has the right to freedom of religion. That is something that is enshrined already here into our government. We don't need to create the Religious Liberty Coalition. We don't need to create the Anti-Christian Bias Task Force. We don't have to redefine what anti-Semitism is. Do you know what we need? We need food in the kids' mouths. We need better education for the kids. We need DEI for the kids. Everybody who hates DEI and CRT so much, did you not realize that knowing and teaching about anti-Semitism is DEI? So removing DEI is actually anti-Semitism. Wow. The logic just unravels when you really think it through. The problem solves itself. Let people come here and get jobs, pay their taxes. Let's find a way to make it better. Kidnapping people off the street and holding them hostage is intentional to cause fear. This is intentional, purposeful propaganda. So people start falling in line because they are afraid. They don't want to speak up. And the fact of the matter is, no matter what we say, no matter how we do it, they're always going to see it as disruptors. They're always going to see us as dissenters. Peaceful protests were happening in LA. Even the mayor said that they could have handled it with their own police force. But that wasn't good enough for Trump. Trump overrode state rights and sent the National Guard against Newsom's wishes. Yet, continuously, I hear them say, smaller government, stop micromanaging the states' rights. It never applies to Trump and his GOP, the administration, because ultimately what they're looking for is the pathway to totalitarianism. End of. Project 2025 tracker shows it. All the laws, all the bills that are being passed, this is a pattern. It is easily recognizable. You don't have to think that you're crazy. You don't have to think that you're doomsday daydreaming, making it up, maladaptive daydreaming. It is a reality. This is what is happening. And if we just sit back and don't say anything, it will continue to get worse. The pressure is on. They're shoving the Bible down our throats. It's in the schools. They can't get away from it. Between the shoving the Bibles, the prayer, now the 10 Commandments, children are going to be indoctrinated with this belief that they are sinners, that they're not good enough. Every person that is in government is put there by God, as Paul said, so you should just listen and obey and do what they say. There is nobody on this planet that can't be questioned. Point blank, period. That is how you lead yourself right into a cult. You should always be able to ask questions, and you should always be able to get answers to those questions. I know that I personally have been feeling very uneasy, on edge. I feel so worried and frightened for people because I know I know people who are DACA dreamers. and who are in, they're in programs. The government has many different programs, how they monitor people to decide whether or not they can become citizens, and I it's not fair. They are obeying the law. They're obeying the law, and Americans constantly poke and prod them and say they are not when they absolutely are. I just lost storage. I want to know if you're okay. Like, where are you at? Are you somebody who has left a cult? Have you left high control religion? Are you looking around you and feeling like, am I crazy, or is this really happening? Do you feel as though maybe you're in some kind of denial bubble and like, nope, this could never happen because we live in the land of freedom and that's what I've always been told, so I will always have my rights? If you were the latter, I just need to know if you are watching the news, if you are watching people from on the ground, if your only news source is like NBC, ABC, Fox News, CNN, I highly encourage you to go to ground news or Zeteo News. Ground news will tell you whether they're left-leaning or right-leaning news sources. So you get a feel for how one news article will portray something one way and another in another manner, if you get what I'm saying. Everything could be propaganda. I realize that. Probably a lot of my content is propaganda. It doesn't have to have a negative connotation, but there's more certainly a lot of money behind those news agencies, and they have specific talking points that they must stick to. So what you won't hear on the 5 o'clock news is that the officers that came there to the peaceful protests were inciting violence, pushing people, shoving people, pulling things out of people's hands, spraying people in the face with pepper spray, shooting them with rubber bullets for simply standing there reporting the news. Yes, reporters are allowed to come to this country and report. If they have gone through all the proper paperwork, they are allowed to be here. Okay? Again, if people come to this country under the guise that they will be safe to spend their money here, to go to school, to work, to vacation, if ICE is simply grabbing people up, no ID, no name, just because they could be brown, will no longer feel comfortable doing so. If we give ICE this power to wield, to just pick up anybody, just grab people up out of their job, off the street, no way in hell be anybody in their right mind who will ever want to come back to this country. It is important that we understand other people's cultures and stop creating this us against them, that they are so different. We're very similar. We all want peace. We all want our piece of the pie. We all want to go to our job and feel fulfilled at the end of the day. We all want to fill our bellies with some good yum-yums. We want to see our kids having shoes on their feet. Seriously. You know who doesn't want that for us? The elite. Trump and his swamp buddies, his cronies. The billionaires do not care about us. They are creating a problem. They are false flagging.
Could you try again?
Siri, you interrupted me. They're false flagging everywhere, even like with down in LA, by inciting violence, pushing up against people, ripping things out of their hand, grabbing them by their hair, spraying them in the face. That money would be better spent on peacekeepers instead of riot inciters, which is what ICE and the police and the National Guard and possibly even now the Marines are doing. Like, did y'all not take a vow to uphold the Constitution against foreign and domestic enemies? What do you call this? This is a domestic terrorist attempt to overthrow our government, to break down the systems that protect us. All of this is intertwined. All of this is connected. What's happening in Israel, how Israel is committing a genocide against the Palestinians. These are all things that connect together. Our police force get trained in Israel. The aggressive manner in which the police arrest people, they learn those tactics in Israel. That is how they are taught. And everyone is conscripted to join the IDF. You really don't have a choice. And if they don't, they could even face jail time. It takes a lot of work to get out of being in the IDF over there. And the militarization of them is what this country is trying to do. That is what they want to see with our country. The way that Israel surveils Palestine, the way they use AI to monitor them, to facial recognition, things of that nature, Yeah, they know more about the Palestinians than they're leading on. They know where Hamas. They're so stuck on Hamas. They remind me of the Jehovah's Witnesses with the word apostate. They just hear that word and all of a sudden, like, oh, explosion in my head. They know where the resistance fighters are with all the facial recognition, the drones, everything they're doing. It's intentional to kill the civilians. They want to take that technology and now bring it here. We have cop cities being built. Atlanta, Georgia, cop city. There's already been activists who've died because of activism and protesting. Peaceful. We try peaceful. And they push and push and push until people can't take it anymore. And now I'm circling back to how they throw flags on the play. So you're paying attention over here while something bad is being rolled out over here. Oh man, that was a tizzy. I really don't like, there's certain labels that I just really don't like when it comes to like Democrats and Republicans, and sometimes I don't think they fit people, but it's the only two. It's the only two categories that we have here, so it's almost like what we have to choose. But for those who stand on the side of freedom and protecting the rights that are in the Constitution, see what's happening, whether, regardless of what side of the aisle you land on. If you realize that this is wrong, that this is not democratic, I hope that you give me a follow. I hope that you stick around. I hope that you're willing to open your mind. What I'm trying to say, to bring it all back around, wrap it up in a pretty little package with a little neat little bow on it. If you're screaming America first, why are we sending billions and billions upon billions of dollars to Israel so they can bomb children, so they can surveil people, so they can steal land? Why are we doing that? So they can have health care, so they can go to college for free. Why are we doing that if it's America first? Let's take care of America first. Let's invest those billions of dollars into a better system that can get people into this country so we can create a better model for vetting people so they can come here safely. Safely for you, safely for them. But the budget for the police keep going up. The budget for our military keep going up. We have money for war, but nothing for the children so they can eat and pay attention. We have money for bombing children, but we don't have money here for our health care, for our education. There's so many things that we could list that we could be investing in our future here if we want to truly put America first. But those who are being put first are the billionaires, the corporations who are profiting, warmongers, war profiteers, while this country gets gutted like a fish. These Christians think they're going to bring back their Jesus, that somehow, some way, that if they kill enough people, if they overtake the Holy Land, that is going to bring back their Jesus. And I understand how you might feel crazy, because for years you thought Armageddon was going to happen. You leave a high control religion and you're like, phew, that's not real. And now you're watching what is going on now and realizing that, oh, Christians are trying to bring the end of the world. They are trying to bring back their Savior. They would be happy with that. They think there's an afterlife. They have a plan B. The rest of us, we know this is the one life that we have. And they think that taking over the Holy Land, bombing and killing enough people, building a new temple is somehow going to bring back their Jesus. And at that point, they will force convert everyone. That is the end goal. And then there's this realization that on this Christian nationalist agenda, that with Zionism, they will be able to bring back their Messiah, take over the Holy Land, force convert people, and Jesus will return. The chronological order might differ, might vary between sects, between different Christian groups, but that is the long and the short of it. The only way that will be able to happen is if they can shut down all dissent. And the only way that will happen is infiltrating every single aspect of the government, making rules, making laws, so that way we have no say. And we have the Trumpians in my comments cheering that on. No cap. Completely just like, yeah, we love the orange man. This is great. This is going to be great for the economy. I love paying more for eggs. With no idea how this will affect each and every community that you are ripping people from. You're like me. Your mind has been boggled. You're uncertain. Don't know how to think. You don't know who you can talk to. Let me know how you feel. Tell me in the comments. Tell me what you see. Tell me what the news has been portraying to you. And let me know if there's any part of you deep down inside that feels silly saying that we are creeping towards authoritarian rule, totalitarianism, Christo-fascism. If Christian nationalism makes you go, no way possible, if the hairs on your back stand up, tell me, what can I do to help you see, how can I point you in the right direction? How can I hold your hand and tell you the time is now to say something, to start calling your representatives, to make your voice heard, start making friends. Shoot, please start making content, especially if you're a woman. They, all the theys, the gays, yes, my loves, we need you too. I have went off on so many different tangents and segues. I'm going to wrap it up here. You know how I feel. You've been watching me long enough. You know my heart. You know that I have your best interests in mind. I care about y'all. I know that you care about me too. So let's keep talking. Let's keep the dialogue open. That is how we're going to bring this evil into the light. Shine a light on it. Don't let it go back into the shadows. It's going to rear its ugly head, and we need to be prepared. We should be prepared right now, because it's happening right now. So don't get prepared. Be prepared. Let's do it. This country was built by many different hands, and we should not be erasing our rich history. Yes, we are entrenched in some deep, dark stuff, but it's okay to learn the truth. What we can do is move forward, knowing better. That's all anybody could ask for. Recognize the bad, make changes, move forward. All right, y'all. Until next time, stay curious.
Got so much motherfucking going on right now.
Stay curious. I'm weighing item. Wait.